Incredible betting information coming your way. We got a great show lined up. Gianni The Greek is going to be joining us right off the bat. He's going to talk some UFC. He's also got a bet for us on the New York Mets game, Tokyo Brandon. After that, he's looking at the Cubs and the Pirates, the Padres and the Cardinals. We're going to end the show with Mark Zinno, who's got a future bet for us on Zeke, Elliott, and another MLB bet. Teddy Covers, what's your big game breakdown?
Let's talk a little college football. How about Saturday national TV action, Hawaii and UCLA? We'll break that one down before the show is through. And we had a quarterback from Michigan State tell us, bet the over. We're going to talk about how the markets have reacted after the QB said that. That and what bettors learn. Lawrence?
Welcome to WagerTalk Today. Let's go. Gianni The Greek. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. Mute.
All right, never better. Thanks for having me. All right. We're ready to go. Big day, Tuesday, busy day. Contender series tonight. WagerTalk Today. You guys got me busy, so excited to share some stuff, brother. Thanks for having me, Prez.
So is this bet that you have on Liam Anderson, is this part of the Contender series?
Yes, it's tonight. It's actually the third week of the Contender series. Prez, week one, I gave 1 to subscribers. That was it. Week two, I didn't give anything out. And week three, this is the only thing. So this is only the second bet I'm giving in the Contender. Forgive me. I am betting right now, week one NFL, Minnesota Vikings -1. Minnesota Vikings -1. Forgive me. I got to send this to subscribers right now because this line's probably going to move.
Gianni, we get to watch you do this live. Teddy and
Yep.
I can talk. So Teddy, Liam Anderson -190. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, let's wait for Gianni to be ready so we can ask him, because I have no thoughts.
Do you know who he's
What
fighting?
are your thoughts, Lawrence?
I think his opponent is probably around plus 200. That's where I'm at. Gianni?
Yes, sir.
Minus 190 and plus 200? That's an overlay, man. We'll bet that all day. Johnny will bet that all day.
All day. And that's what happens all the time on Contender Series. Because what happened was they made a mistake. They made Andrey Pulyaev as the favorite. They opened them up as a minus 275 favorite, if you can believe that. Within 30 minutes, Liam Anderson was a minus 135. Now, unfortunately, someone like myself cannot get down at him at plus money because the limits are really, really low and very few books even offer it. So it was like the first book that went to market had Pulyaev as the favorite. No surprise, wise guys took the Liam Anderson side. Since then, there's been more Liam Anderson money from the Sharps. But if you're worried about the price, wait till closer to fight time because I do think the betting public's going to be on the Pulyaev side. He's the Russian. He's younger, height advantage, reach advantage, southpaw versus orthodox. So there's a lot to like on the Pulyaev side as a dog, but I'm telling you now, it's the wrong side. Anderson's legit. His ground game's legit. He's one of those New York guys. If you look at his gym, it says like Empire, but it's actually a faction of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which they're one of the best teams there are. And I think that's being overlooked here, plus his amateur background. That's what he has over Pulyaev. This kid had an 8-fight amateur background, won all 8 of his fights, turned professional 6-2 since, well-rounded, strength of schedule, huge advantage on the Anderson side. This is a step up for Pulyaev. He doesn't pass the test. Lay the 200, lay the 300, because that's what I made my true line, minus 300. So I just couldn't wait to bet it. Unfortunately for me, I just couldn't get down enough money till it was around minus 190 when I was able to get down and gave it to my subscribers. But I think we're on the right side with Liam Anderson tonight in Contender Series.
Liam Anderson, lay the juice. Even after the big move, Johnny says they put up a bad number and bettors should take advantage. Of course, Johnny is the $2 WagerTalk handicapper. This week, you can get a $2 college football best bet for only $2 today, all day at WagerTalk.com. He was finished more than 86 units of profit in college football last year, ranked number 1 at WagerTalk.com. So get his best bet for this weekend. Only $2 right now. Just visit WagerTalk.com. Let's talk about the Mets and the D-backs. Basically a pick'em game. I'm looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Couple of books. The Mets are short favorites. Couple of books. Arizona short favorite. Let's call it pick'em. Total 8.5. Manaea and Rodriguez. What are we doing with this one?
Yeah, we're going to take advantage of the recency bias on the Arizona side. They're a team that's won 6 straight road games, coupled with 3 straight leading up to this series where they were underdogs in each game, and they swept that series. Now they return home after 9 road games. Usually, you know how that is when you're on the road for real long. It takes a little bit of adjustment. They get back home. This is the first game from that road trip, so I don't like the spot Arizona's in. And then you couple it with the Mets. They're coming off a series with San Diego where they got the split, which is impressive considering they were dogs all 4 of those games. So they outperformed the betting market a little bit by getting us the W's. But more importantly, they've won 6 of their last 10. And when I look at their home road splits, I don't see any huge disparities, meaning like where one team you only want to back them in spots where they're at home, or one team you may want to back them in spots where on the road where they're a little undervalued, overvalued. I think with the Mets, it really doesn't matter. Home, away, their splits are pretty much even, so I don't think we lose much there. And finally, I do like the pitching matchup with Manaea. He's been on fire, no surprise. He's just that stud pitcher. But it's the Rodriguez side that I think we're going to see a little regression towards the mean. He's come off, he's only had 3 starts this year, 3-0. This is his 4th start, and he's coming off a 1 earned run game. I just don't think he's going to continue that kind of pitching. He'll start to regress towards his mean, and that should happen sooner rather than later because, again, he's just been pitching 2 lights out for him. Give me New York Mets up to minus 120, 125. I think you're good. But I got him at plus 101 or 102. I think I gave him out to subscribers for 3%.
Gianni The Greek joining us, everyone. He's our $2 Tuesday handicapper. Gianni, we'll talk about that in a second. You just bet the Minnesota Vikings at -1.
Mm-hmm.
What was the money line number there? Why the -1?
I sent it out at minus 115, money line minus 115. It was either -1, minus 115, take either. It depends what was available. I had like -1, minus 103. I bet that wherever it was minus 110 or 12, I just took the money line instead. You're absolutely right. So for my subscribers, that is what I sent it out at minus 115, 3%. Hopefully we're on the right side and that line moves up. I only have one other NFL week 1 play. I gave out the LA Chargers against the Raiders -3. I think that's off that key 3. I think it's at the hook right now. So you probably want to sit back and wait till week 1 if you agree with me. Otherwise, you got a better number fading me.
Gianni, let's race through the college football card. A ton of games. I think I counted 714 different college football games this weekend. Throw us some bets, man. We'll just shut up and listen.
I love it. I love it. Now, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, we're on both sides of that. The Texas A&M side, we laid the pick 'em, but then we came back and took Notre Dame at +3 and Notre Dame money line. The real side is the under. Went under 48. That was a 3% play for subscribers. Also, Wyoming +7 and under 47 against Arizona State. Also gave Arizona -30, 30.5 against New Mexico. Boston College +22 against Florida State. There's some good college football for you. Oh, and this is a good one. UMass, here's why. Because we bet both sides of that. I got my subscribers plus money on both, where they had Eastern Michigan at plus and Massachusetts at plus. Well, today we came in over the top and hit Massachusetts again. So it seems like UMass is definitely the right side of that matchup, but we do have a little plus Eastern Michigan money as well that we got down earlier in the season. Because you got to remember, these week 1 lines are up for months. So we may be betting this first week of August. By the time first week of September rolls around, there's a lot of things happen. A player gets injured, offensive linemen get injured, wide receivers get injured. Everyone talks about when the quarterback gets injured, but a lot of times there's just other players that change a lot of things leading into the season that gets overlooked. That's why I'm not afraid to buy back or try to middle a game if I just see that things change. Because as information changes, you got to be willing to change your opinion. You can't be, bang your head and be egotistical about it. Got to be willing to change with the flow. Move with it.
Brilliant.
I want to ask
Teddy?
you. I want to ask you specifically about one of those games,
Please.
because it goes into a theme that I'm going to be talking about in my big game breakdown. New Mexico played last week, and we're fading them here. Isn't the general strategy the teams that played last week have an advantage? Or is that not so much the case in the modern world?
I love that question because I actually I saw Georgia Tech money coming in, and I'm like, we had Georgia Tech last week. They covered. They won the game outright. But my thinking, Teddy, would be the opposite because I play a little bit contrarian to the market, not on purpose, but I just find myself being contrarian more times than not. And I think that's factored into the price now. I think bettors are sharper than back in the day, and there's just so many previews and review shows, and people are consuming so much content that everyone knows this team has a game under their belt, and they may be at an advantage. And I think now that's more factored into the price than before. And I think your advantage is probably going against those teams because I think they may be getting a little more credit than they deserve because of the randomness of one single game. Kind of like we talk about week 2 in NFL. It's the biggest adjustment week because we've only had 60 minutes of football, but we have 7 days to talk about it. So we put so much emphasis on that one game and try to draw conclusions about the season off it. And more times than not, we're wrong because it's just too early. And I think with those teams that have played against teams that haven't, we kind of, biases are drawing that conclusion that they have an advantage. But I think the betting line offsets that. You know what I mean? The point spread becomes the great equalizer. And I think a lot of that gets factored into the line and baked into the cake. And it sounds good if you're backing that team, but it's kind of like you can make the argument for the other team that, okay, they did play, but now you're paying a premium because they played. So it's one of those fine lines, I think.
Excellent analysis from Gianni The Greek, the $2 Tuesday handicapper, WagerTalk.com this week. Johnny, one last question before we let you go. I want to ask you about that Vikings bet. Basically, you're getting a +1 or a -1 against the G-men. A game it's bouncing. It's more books are Minnesota -1 right now than it's -1 across the board. Actually, looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen. Talk to me about that bet. What is it about Minnesota you like, and/or what is it about the G-men that you don't like on opening day?
It was more a fade of the Giants, I think, than a bet on the Minnesota Vikings. I have my sheet. You know what? I'm even going to grab. We got a minute. I'm going to grab it for you because it's very important.
Okay. Well, while Gianni's doing that, I want to jump in and mention everybody that Gianni, 1 sec. We'll get back to you. We're getting back to you, Gianni.
Thank you.
Oh, Teddy, I'm 7 days without smoking. I'm finally getting that phlegmed upness. Anyway. Guys, as we've spoken about, Gianni's the $2 Tuesday handicapper Wager Talk. We take our hottest handicapper, sell their feature play for only $2. Last year, Gianni went 171 wins, 133 losses, made his clients 87 units of profit. And this year, he has already started 5-2 on the season. But what I want to mention is inside of that package is a Steve Merrill play, which is his first 5% play in baseball this whole year. And Steve is on a 12-1 run. If you buy Gianni's $2 play, you get a coupon code inside of that package to get Steve's 5% baseball play at half price. Again, he's on a 12-1 run. He almost never has 5% plays. Not only do you get Gianni's college football play, you get Steve's 5% for half price. We expect a ton of people buying that just for Steve. And it's a coupon. You don't get Steve's play. You get a coupon to buy his play for half price. Johnny Detroit just slacked me. He's clearly listening to the show. Lots of love, JD. Okay, Gianni. Mike is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Here's what I wanted to share. Before the season, I bring out my gold. This is the gold sheet. That's why it's on a gold piece of paper. And here's what we're looking for. Teams were looking to fade. Teams were looking to back. And the Giants, Minnesota became the perfect storm because I already had Minnesota circled. Here's why. You look at the Giants with their turnover differential of last year. They were plus 12 in turnovers. tied with the Baltimore Ravens as the best. The difference is the Baltimore Ravens did it with interceptions. The Giants did it with fumbles. 6 of those plus 12 were fumbles. We know fumbles are 50-50. Once they hit the ground, what team's going to fall on it is 50-50. The fact they were plus 6 in fumbles tells me they should regress towards the mean. Now, you look at the opposite for Minnesota. They're a team that was minus 12 in turnovers. Tend to regress and progress towards the mean. Those teams that got very unlucky in one season tend to get a little bit luckier possibly the next. Minnesota falls under that because almost half of those were fumbles that they lost. And then finally, the wins for Minnesota. Remember, in 2022, this was a 13-win team. They regressed 6 games last year to 7 wins. Usually, you expect to bounce back from a team like that. So a few things heading into the season, Teddy, why I was looking for spots to back Minnesota. And then you have week 1 sitting there at home. It just looked like a decent spot. And then when the groups I work with came in on them, that just confirms it for me. Because again, I circle all the stuff that I like. And then fortunately, I work with guys that I think are smarter than me. And when they agree with me, it gives me a little more confidence to bet it as well.
There we go. Gianni The Greek. Man, we got a double Gianni this week. Brother, you're going to be on Friday's show. Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Friday, I will be there. Thank you.
Okay, guys. Gianni The Greek, done. We still got Tokyo Brandon to come and Mark Zinno. Teddy's got an awesome What Did Bettors Learn? I want to welcome everybody into the chat room. Teddy, Jessica is back. And not only is Jessica back in the chat room, but she pointed out that she's back. So welcome back, Jessica. We missed you. Ray, Waj, Slow Jams, Chris Brady, Javier. Great to see you all in the chat room. Really appreciate you guys being here. Almost 200 people in the chat room, Teddy, and only about 10% of them hit that like button. I don't understand why. Firstly, Gianni literally gave out like 20 bets. Okay, maybe 18 bets if you go down the list. Unbelievable information already. Guys, come on, man. We're a team here. Please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Greatly appreciated. And also, Teddy, I gave out a play yesterday on the Minnesota Twins. It lost. But I do want you to know that had we've gotten 100 likes, the other play won. What did bettors learn?
So we have to talk about the very interesting scenario that's happened for this opener. Friday night, Big Ten Network, Michigan State against Florida Atlantic. There was a news conference, and Michigan State sophomore quarterback Aiden Childs, not once, but twice, told reporters, quote, "If you bet, take the over." We don't often hear that from starting quarterbacks of college football teams. And it's interesting to hear that. And of course, the Michigan State spokesman, said that, the NCAA encourages all athletes, the athletic departments to provide media training, blah, blah, blah. Michigan State basically said, don't worry about it. The senior program facilitator emphasizes athletes to keep everything in-house. That includes injury info, game plans, and gambling tips. All right. So the quarterback's saying bet the over. So what happens? The public listens. The public starts betting the over. Joe Public starts betting the over. This total gets bet, 40. It was as high as 48. And then the wise guys say, yeah, we don't like that. And we saw that total yesterday go from 48 to 45, boom, in a minute. What is this telling us? Number one, when a quarterback talks, I'm going to listen. All right? If the quarterback says, bet this, it's not something you hear anymore very often. But it's certainly not a case where I'm like, okay, I'm going to fade that. Secondly, perhaps most importantly, don't take betting advice from guys who don't bet, and the quarterback doesn't bet. All right. And there's lots of guys on TV and lots of talking heads who literally don't bet, who are giving betting advice every day. My advice, watch shows like this with people that actually do make wagers, if you want to do it. But third, and maybe the most important, the bet here, if you want to bet the over, is probably the Spartans team total over 29.5.
Yeah.
It's not widely available yet. All right. But Aiden Childs wasn't talking about his defense and ripping his defense. He was saying, in different words, we're going to play fast. I think the offense is going to score touchdowns. So the bet here from the quote from the quarterback is not game over. It's not Sparty minus the points. It's Sparty team total over 29.5 is the number that I saw this morning. That's what I learned last night, Lawrence. Back to you, my friend.
Dude, that is exactly where I was going with what did Bettors learn. I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking to myself, is he calling out his defense? I mean, it takes 2 to go over. They're not putting up 48 points. Is he saying that, hey, I practice every week against this defense, and they stink? So FAU is going to put a ton of points on the board. So I saw it exactly the way you did, that he really meant that Michigan is going to put up points. So take Michigan State. So take the over in that game. And what a rarity for Michigan State to put up points. Let's bring Tokyo Brandon in. How are you, Tokyo? What's going on? Looking good, man. Looking good. What female did you steal those glasses from today?
Thanks, Prez. Nice to be back. How you doing, Teddy? Nice to be back, as usual.
Yeah, something like
Thanks,
whenever
Prez.
anyone wears sunglasses like that, Sharapin wears them, you wear them, Lawrence automatically assumes that they're female sunglasses. I'm not sure why.
It's not an assumption. It's a fact. It's not an assumption. It's a fact. And Tokyo, last week you put in the chat room that Prez doesn't let you on the show anymore. So I brought you on to say you're 100% right. Get the hell out of here. Teddy covers. It's time for your big game breakdown. Oh no, I'm serious.
Thin skin Lawrence. Nice to be back. I can't believe you remember something I wrote in the chat a week ago, but hey, that's cool.
Hey, when you talk, I listen, bro. When you talk, when you dress, I don't pay attention. But when you talk, I listen. Cubs and Pirates, who's winning this game?
Chicks dig it. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here, and I gotta, and I have to use a spotlight. So yeah, I'm gonna put some glasses on at 1 o'clock in the morning. But so we got the Cubs and the Pirates. Yesterday, the Cubs put up basically 2 touchdowns on this team, and the Cubs are actually batting quite hot right now. This is a 2% play. I do have a 5% play out in Major League Baseball, and I'm the number 1 MLB profit capper at WagerTalk in 2024, number 1 all sports in 2024, plus 160 units currently. So we got Justin Steele taking on Jared Jones. Jared Jones is a name you probably haven't heard in a while because he hasn't pitched since the 4th of July. He is a decent pitcher. But I'm a Justin Steele fan. I like him a lot. He's had a couple of bad games, but let me break down the game overall. First of all, we got batting, bullpen, and starting pitching. Cubs are on a torrid pace right now. I have the Cubs batting 7th in all of Major League Baseball right now. That includes current form and season form put together with some peripheral stats and not just runs scored, but an overall of how the lineups are doing. And I have the Pittsburgh Pirates ranked 25th out of 30. The Pirates have really gone downhill in the last week or so, last 10 days or so. They're just not hitting at all. The Pirates do have a bullpen advantage here, but both of these bullpens, I have them top 10. But I have Justin Steele. I have about 300 starting pitchers, and I rank them on a curve of 30. So I can compare them to bullpens and hitters. I've done this ever since I was a scout in Major League Baseball. You got to compare apples to apples here. I have Justin Steele ranked 6 out of 30 on a curve of 300 starting pitchers. So Justin Steele's pretty good. Jared Jones, unfortunately, I don't have rankings for him because he hasn't pitched for a month and a half. But Justin Steele actually pitches better on the road. His road ERA is 2.7, while his home ERA is 3.43. So he's actually a better road pitcher. And in his last 4 starts, he hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in his last 4 starts. I like Justin Steele here. I like the Cubs lineup. Jared Jones, when he was pitching, he allowed 2 earned, 6 earned, 2 earned, 1 earned. fairly decent, but he does have a propensity to get blown up once in a while. And his whip is not quite as good as Justin Steele's. Add to the fact he hasn't pitched for a month and a half. So I really like the Cubs to come out here with their top 10 lineup and their top 10 starting pitcher. And I think the Cubs are going to take another one here in Pittsburgh. That's my free play for the show. That's a 2% play that I sent to clients, but I do have a 5% plus money bet, a side bet in MLB today, which you can get at my page at WagerTalk.com.
Look for the Cubs to continue their torrid hitting. 18 runs last night. Tokyo says they'll score at least one more than Pittsburgh on Tuesday. Let's talk one more in MLB. The Padres and the Cardinals. St. Louis has played better ball of late. Mikolas is coming off a gem, but Dylan Cease is a legitimate ace, even though he hasn't pitched as well of late, and he's being priced like it. Minus 130, minus 135, even minus 140 on the road for San Diego in St. Louis. Do the Padres merit this road chalk price range?
Actually, they do, and I'll tell you why. Dylan Cease is a star pitcher. I mean, I don't put him in the upper echelon with with Skeens or Wheeler or something like that, but he's a second tier guy. On my curve of 30, I have him ranked 11, so he's up there. He's definitely up there in the upper or second tier upper echelon of pitchers. But this bet is more based on the fact that Miles Mikolas is a bad pitcher, and he pitched in Japan before he went back to Major League Baseball. He was bad out here, and I was really surprised that a Major League team signed him. Very inconsistent. He actually pitches better on the road than he does at home. As a matter of fact, his home ERA is 5.94, which is just awful. And in his he did have one good start last time out against Milwaukee, but before that, he gave up 14 runs in 3 starts. So he's not a good pitcher. Where Dylan Cease, I think he's a great pitcher. I mean, he's only 12-10, but he's got a 105 whip. And in his last couple of starts, he's given up 2.320. So not great stats for him. But what I really like here is the Padres they're chasing the Dodgers for first place. I think they're 4.5 games out at the moment, maybe 3.5 games out. I did not expect this from the Padres. They're batting 11th out of 30 teams, and their bullpen, they picked up a lot of arms at the trade deadline, and their bullpen has been upgraded to a top 10 level. Cardinals, I have them hitting 21 out of 30, and I have their bullpen 14, very mediocre out of 30. And I have Miles Mikolas ranked 23rd out of 30 on the curve. So everything points San Diego's way. I realized they just crushed them yesterday, but home advantage is not a home advantage when you're the Cardinals. I think they're only plus 2 games at home, where San Diego's a great road team. Dylan Cease is a great pitcher on the road. So everything points to San Diego here. That's another 2% play that I sent out to my clients. Again, I do have a 5% play in Major League Baseball, and it's huge plus money. So it's going to be a good day today. I went 4-0 in baseball yesterday. I swept the board 4-0 in Major League Baseball. So hope to have another winning day in Major League Baseball today, including the plays that I'm giving out on this show.
Yes. So Brandon, look, I listened, I watched, I thought, I delved, and my takeaway is you're an ass man.
Seinfeld's the best show to ever be on TV, and anyone who knows Seinfeld knows that's Kramer's license plate that he got from the New York DMV. 2 things that I love: Kiss and Seinfeld. So those are reflected on my back.
I thought you were going with ass. Okay. Tokyo Brandon, everyone. 5% MLB max play. It is a dog. He is our number 1 most profitable expert in 2024 in baseball and all sports. And our number 1 most profitable expert 3 of the last 4 years, really as good as it gets when it comes to handicapping. A pleasure to have a world-class dresser, Tokyo Brandon, everyone. Teddy covers. Let's keep the show moving. We still got Mark Zinno to come, but it is now time for your big game breakdown.
Big game breakdown. Let's talk college football for Saturday afternoon here in Las Vegas. Well, Saturday afternoon in Hawaii. That would be UCLA, Hawaii. This game is at 7:30 Eastern time, 4:30 on the left coast, and 1:30 local time in Hawaii, CBS national TV game. And let me set this up and tell you which is the only side I'm comfortable betting here, regardless of personnel. All right. All summer, money came for Hawaii in this game. UCLA opened as high as 18.5. Mostly 17s were out there for a while. And then people started paying attention to UCLA in the post-Chip Kelly era. And remember, Chip Kelly wasn't fired. He quit. He said, I don't want to be head coach. I'd rather be offense coordinator in Columbus than be here. All right. He did not leave the program in great shape. All right. When you talk about recruiting, engaging boosters, NIL, Chip Kelly, he was collecting checks. How hard he was working is very much under debate. So you bring in Deshaun Foster, who, let's be real, it was a desperation hire. You have a couple of new coordinators, Eric Bieniemy, who keeps taking steps down in class. More than half of the defense is gone. A new conference. Next thing you know, the markets go with UCLA minus 13. All right. Lots of Hawaii money fading UCLA. Then summer ends and Hawaii plays in week 0. They're minus 40.5 against Delaware State. The first half, they had 6 punts, 1 scoring drive, 1 punt return touchdown. Not sharp. 14-7 at the half in a game where you're minus 40. Second half, they scored 3 touchdowns in 5 tries, 35-14 final. They never sniffed a cover. Now, what'd they do in that game? They made a concerted effort to run the football. Was a real problem area last year. What'd they do this time? They were handing the ball off. 27 carries, 4.8 yards per carry. But Delaware State's a 40-point dog. In theory, you're supposed to do better than that. Braden Strager didn't have a great day throwing. Again, first game of the season. They were a little bit off, 17-34. He only completed half his passes. So what happens? UCLA hasn't played a game yet. Hawaii has. Hawaii was a 40-point favorite and didn't cover. So what happens? Of course, it's UCLA money now. Back to minus 14. So I'm going to talk about the concept here. We know UCLA is not good. The market's hated them all summer. Hawaii doesn't cover as chalk. That makes UCLA good? And I don't think for a minute that Hawaii showed what they really want to do against Delaware State last week. It's going to be hot and humid, the conditions Hawaii is used to. It's an afternoon game. And maybe Hawaii is just outclassed here. It's possible. That said, maybe you take a taste of Hawaii on the money line. UCLA, this team's not UCLA. They're not an elite team. They're Illinois or Michigan State. Mediocrity at best. I think Hawaii is a live dog in this one. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Great handicap, Teddy. Love it. Guys, let's get some likes in there. Mark Zinno joining us. How are you, my friend? What's going on?
Gentlemen, it's always a great day here to be on WagerTalk Today. Appreciate you guys having me as always. And we're ready and raring to go for this Tuesday.
Well, we definitely love having you on, Mark. That's why you're on, because I get to choose who comes on. I try to keep Tokyo Brandon to a bare minimum, but he's just so damn good. You know, it's one of those tough situations that I find myself in. I don't want to look at him, but there's literally nobody better. There's nobody better in handicapping. Like, he is on the Mount Rushmore of handicapping. And hey, that's what we do. We don't judge people by their ridiculous glasses, their absurd neck chains, their crazy button-down shirts. We're handicappers. Dude's a god. Gotta have him on. You have handsome, great voice, excellent handicapper, alpha male beard. Okay, you know what, Prez? Colorado here. They are minus 145 to 150. This team should never be a minus 1 anything right now, but they are playing the Miami Marlins, so I can understand the line. Where are we going with this?
Simply, it's a fade of Roderick Munoz, who is not a major league starter. That's just the bottom line of this whole situation here. If you look at his numbers across the board, particularly over his last 6 starts, he's given up at least 2 earned runs. His best start was on the road against Tampa Bay back at the end of July, but he gets banged around. He's barely lasting 5 innings. In 4 of his last 5, he hasn't lasted through 5 innings. So This is a starter that can get banged around by anybody. And in all places of Coors Field, the place that you don't want to start Roderick Munoz, a guy who can get hit pretty easily, a guy who's got a whip of 1.5. That's not the guy that you want to back in any given situation here. His ERA is at 6. His ERA on the road is not good either. So this is a spot here where Colorado, who does hit the ball well at home, obviously a lot of teams hit the ball well at Coors Field, but this is a spot here where I can trust the Rockies' bats. And then furthermore, on the flip side, Cal Quantrill, his numbers aren't great either. However, Cal Quantrill has at least proven that he can be a major league starter, that he can, at least get wins. And despite his 4 ERA at home, this is still a guy right now against the Marlins that I want to back because Miami, guys, they're 26th in batting average on the road, and they're second to last in OPS and WRC plus on the road this year. Miami does not hit the ball on the road. So I'm going to trust Quantrill here to get it done. I know the Rockies bullpen will be a concern for everybody, but at this point, I just think they're flat out going to outmash Miami in this game because Miami can't score and build a big enough lead where I'm willing to back the bullpen here in this spot and take Colorado at a little bit of a heftier price than normally I would. But given the total where we are, I think the runs come from Colorado, not so much from Miami.
So I want to get back to Prez's initial thought, because I have the same thought with Colorado. My thought is just, why are we taking a team that's, what are they, 35 games under 500 and laying up? I mean, like, I understand we want to fade Miami, right? But is Colorado a team you're comfortable laying a price with, and why?
Just because of the spot and the opposing starting pitcher. I mean, again, Colorado's top 10 in runs scored at home this year. They clearly can hit the ball, and they can score. So I feel pretty confident in their offense to carry the load here against the pitching that they're going up against. Now, Miami's bullpen is actually pretty decent, all things considered, but they should have a big enough lead here that they can hold on to this thing. And again, with a team that doesn't hit on the road, I'll lay into Colorado's bullpen to at least, for baseball, turn around and saying they're going to get somebody out. They're going to get enough guys out here at some point. They can't give up runs every single time out there. So it's the home field. It's the offense of Colorado. It's the pitcher for Miami and the lack of offense that Miami provides here that dictates this number. And if I'm going to get Colorado ever as a favorite, it's against a team like Miami on the road.
Mark Zinno joining us. Mark, what day is it today? Shoulder day, pecs, chest, bicep? What day?
Tuesday is back day. Big back day.
So do you consider your rear delts in that? Do you do shrugs? You do or is it just straight back?
It's more of the back itself. I do rear delts on shoulder day. So that's a separate muscle group there, Teddy. I mean, Prez, sorry.
Well, dude, you don't think I know these things? Come on.
I know you do. But
You
I think
you don't do rear delts on back day. You do it on shoulder
Sometimes
day.
you do. Sometimes you do.
But I
Some
think the
people-
metric system in weights between the United States and Canada might be off. So, there is that to account for.
Well, we use pounds, dude. I mean, when lifting weights, we're still using pounds. I had chest day yesterday. I'm going to do shoulders and triceps today. Teddy, what are you doing?
I'm going to walk up and down the stairs.
He's having lunch.
Zeke Elliott, my brother. This is an interesting bet, counterintuitive, which we love. You like over 550 rush yards. Tell us why.
I mean, guys, this number is insanely low. Okay. And the one thing you have to remember about Zeke, and we'll knock on wood here, he's been healthy his entire career. I mean, there's only one season in his career where he played less than 15 games. And at this number, guys, when you look at it at 550 yards, this is not a performance that you need from him over the course of 15 games that he has to provide all that. He's got to get 35 rushing yards a game for the season. Like, that is not difficult. Somebody has to run the ball in Dallas. And if it's not Zeke, it's Rico Dowdle, who last year only had 300 yards rushing. Like, they can't just not run the ball, period. So I'm not asking for an incredibly heavy lift here. Even last year in New England with a subpar offensive line, this is still a guy who can get you 30 yards a game. I mean, think of it. Guys, if he has one 90-yard game, doesn't even have to be a great game. If he has one 80, 90-yard game, he's knocked out almost, a sixth of his entire rushing yards in one game. So the number is just insanely low given the kind of perception of Zeke and what he's been. But, they have two running backs on the roster who have any real experience. It's him and Rico Dowdle, and Zeke is going to be the main guy. So at some point, they're going to hand the ball off to him. We're not talking about, a guy who's got to have 300 carries. 180, 200 carries even at a 3.5 yard per carry rate gets him over this number. We just can't forget the fact that they're going to run the ball at some point in time. So this number, he's never gone below in his entire career, no matter how few he's rushed the ball, no matter how bad his yards per carry were. And 3.5 last year was the lowest average of his career. And he still got 642 yards on 184 carries in 17 games. As long as he's healthy and doesn't injure himself, that's the only risk here. If he plays 15, 16 games, he's going over this number. Somebody has to run the ball in Dallas.
So I agree with your assessment that if he plays 15 or 16 games, he's likely to go over the number. How confident are you that, because Dallas's offensive line is not what it was either.
No.
When we talk, that used to be an elite offensive line, and now it looks very much middle of the pack, at least on paper. So how confident are you that Zeke, who's been able to stay healthy, that at this latter stage of his career, that he'll continue to be able to stay healthy? Because that's obviously one of the key factors.
And I think when you look at it here, Teddy, if you go back to 2019, 2018, he had 304 carries. It was second highest of his career other than his rookie year. Then he was at 301. He's gone down every single year. So his workload has gone down. If he had continued at a higher pace of carries, I would have some more concern about the injury per se. But all things considered, there's not that much tread on his tires over the last 3 years between Dallas and New England. And so, for a guy, again, who stayed pretty healthy throughout his entire career, there's nothing I can do to predict the injury. If it happens, it happens. But with this number being this low, if you were at 700, 600, 700, in that range, and we're starting to talk about 40 yards a game, maybe there's a little bit more of a pause there. But again, they're not going to completely abandon the run game. They're just not going to stop running the ball. They can't pass every single down. They have to run at some point in time. And even if Dallas's offense is good, which we think it still will be, if they have leads late in game, guess what's going to happen? Extra carries for Zeke, just to eat some clock up. So, again, barring an injury, that's the only thing I think that stops him from going over this number.
Listen, Brandon, Mark, I'm not on or against this bet. I will say this. When running backs get to the end of their career, it is the fastest end in history. It is like a fall off the cliff. You are done ending. And that is the only thing that really worries me here.
He's still not 30 years old yet, though, right? He's still not even 30 years old. Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead.
No, again, if he's on the wrong side of 30, I think there is a difference. But we've seen this from other backs. Frank Gore, the last one, even at the tail end of his career in the 33, 34-year-old range, he was an
anomaly. He's an anomaly, bro.
He is an anomaly. But, for a guy, again, who stayed healthy, just like Zeke has been able to stay healthy, there's a place in the offense for him. I'm not asking about touchdowns here. I'm not asking about receptions. Somebody is going to have to run the ball in Dallas at some point in time. They brought him back not to be a secondary back. They brought him back to be the lead guy.
Yeah, now, fair enough.
The only other thing that may change is that McCarthy may turn around and say, you know what, Zeke, you are the second back, and Dowdle's going to start, and Dowdle's going to get the carries. If that happens, then yes, this becomes in jeopardy. But still, even last year in a multi-back system in New England, with Ramondre Stevenson and Devin Harris and everybody else, he still was able to go over this number.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, brother. As I said, I'm not for or against this play. I just wanted to make mention that when running backs fall off the cliff, it is a fast fall. Mark, we love having you on, man. Have a killer back day. What do you got to promote?
4% Major League Baseball best bet tonight up on the site, wt.buzz/MZ. Took a little bit of a hit yesterday, guys, but still top 3 in units this month, winning percentage this month. We've had an incredible August. We went 13 in a row at one point in August, 13 straight winners that we handed out earlier this month. So we're continuing to stay hot. Bounce back day here, 4% best bet up on the site right now, wt.buzz/MZ.
There we go. Mark Zinno, everybody. Teddy covers. This show's just about over. I just want to read something that went on in the chat room. Listen, to Tokyo Brandon's credit, he gets off the show, he hops into the chat room, and he engages. And that's always good for both his brand and the WagerTalk brand. What he wrote, Teddy, and I'd like your take on this, is because I already gave my take. Teddy is the sweetest guy in the world in person, despite how he is on this show. I'd like your take on that, Teddy.
No, he saw me at the barbecue when I'm in a good mood and nice to everyone. But in reality is, no, I'm every bit as big of a jerk in real life as I am on the show. I'm not playing a character. I have my nice moments, Prez, but this is who I am. I'm a big jerk. It's okay.
My response was straightforward. That is just simply not true, Tokyo Brandon. He is a miserable man all the time. And we've spoken about
just most of it.
Yeah, I mean, Tokyo, so you understand, Teddy's the only guy that cries during sex. Like, very rarely does he find a moment of joy. Teddy covers, I love you, and I'm richer for having you as my co-host. Take us home.
And just an FYI, you have no idea what I do during sex, and that will remain the case for the rest of my natural life. That's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition of WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and that show, enjoy the games, take advantage of $2 Tuesday, and best of luck with all your bets.